everybody. Welcome to Book Talk with Miss Lady P. Yes, y'all. This week's episode is really special because this is my first time discussing urban fiction classics. And the first book that we're going to be discussing, because I have many more that I'll be discussing, I'll be discussing urban fiction classics, but I'll also be discussing up-to-date books for some of our new hot authors. So the book that we'll be discussing tonight is Little Ghetto Girl by the great Danielle Santiago. Now, this is one of my favorite go-to urban fiction classics from back in the day because it gives you that old school, that real gritty urban fiction book. I've been an avid reader for a long time. Since becoming a writer, I don't get to read as much. But when I do get a chance to read, I always go back and I read my favorites because they inspire me and they take me back to a time when reading was my life. So in this book, you meet Kisa Kane and you meet Sincere Montega. Of course, they have their own little cruise with them and things like that. And so when the book opens up, Kisa Kane is this 23-year-old girl, and she's getting ready to retire from the drug game. That's what she wants. She's done. She's made her money. She's made her mark. So the book opens up already with this woman being a powerful character in her own right. And so enter Sin, which is Sincere Montega, which she ultimately ends up marrying him. But they've always had like this business thing going on, but they were had that little thing going on, but they hadn't made everything official, but they did mess around and things like that. And she was really ready to walk away from the game. And some situations arose where Sincere had to make a decision, and he needed her to stay in the game and run his empire. And the crazy thing about that is because a lot of guys who are in the drug game, they don't usually want to dump that type of thing into their girl's lap or their wife's lap. But sometimes it happens. Of course, Kisa Kane, she's a boss in her own right. So she stepped right into those shoes for Sincere. But like from the jump, she wasn't really feeling it. But the love that she had for him, she knew that she had to do this for him because, of course, he had to go behind the wall. What I love about Kisa Kane is that she don't take no shit. She's not, she was not this type of female character. Oh, I love Sincere so much, and no, she didn't take shit from him, and she knew that he messed around with other women and things like that, but she never took shit from him. He couldn't just do what he wanted to do to her. Like she wasn't that type of girl, and that's one of the things I love about Kisa because Kisa is a boss in her own right. Let's not forget Fly. Baby, that's one of the flyest motherfucking urban fiction female characters I've ever read about. Oh, she gonna put on her shit. When the feds came into their house, sew up everything, sew up her mink coats and everything, she was right back at the boutique ordering her some more minks. And, and she has this sister. Her sister name is Shay. She's so jealous of her. Like you feel the jealousy from page one coming from her sister, A lot of people have not read this book. So I know that once they see this book discussion, it's going to make them go and get it because I have been getting a lot of inquiries since I said that I was going to talk about this book. So a lot of readers who read my work, it's like, oh, I've never read it before, I'm going to go and read that, So hopefully I don't give away too much, but I just want this to be like not a lengthy book discussion, but just a book discussion that's informative, but also where we can have some fun and talk about what happened in the book, without giving away every detail. But another thing that I love about Little Ghetto Girl is that it gives you this old school New York flow. Like it takes you back to, the Mary J. Blige era. Like it really takes you back to this time and you can visualize it. I love books from back in the day that are based out of New York because I love their lingo, I love their style, I love the way they love to dress. New York City, they something else with the dress code, And just reading this book, you feel it. Kisa Kane, she got all these minks and and she love to dress. She's not she don't give a fuck about how nobody feel about when she going to a fucking store and she dropping $100K on minks. or just clothes, designer bags. Like, it does not matter. The feds came into their home, tore up every fucking thing. The next day, when she was released, she was right back at the boutique replacing some of her shit. Her and seeing shit, you know? So it's just one of those books I love because it gives you that old school New York. It gives you that powerful female character. One of the things that really stood out to me when I read this book again recently was how much urban fiction has evolved since then. If you've been reading urban fiction for a very long time, you can go back and you can read those urban fiction books from those classic authors from back in the day, like Danielle Santiago and Wahida Clark, and it's so many other, other authors from back in the day. I say Keisha Irvin too. She's one of my favorites. Like, it takes you back to that old school Triple Crown publication days. Well, they wrote gritty urban street. Ashley Antoinette too. Like, they wrote these gangster books, and it wasn't until recently that I realized like how much we've changed. Like, back in the day, this is just my opinion, so other authors or other people may not agree with me, but this is just my take on how I see it. I see it from a reader's point of view and from an author's point of view. For instance, the books back in the day, it was that gangster shit. We didn't focus on, we love the male characters and we love the female characters and we love their relationships. But those books back in the day, they were more gritty. They were real street. And today, even myself, the authors today, we write more urban romance than anything. Because a lot of the books that's coming out today is more focused on the romance part of it. Now, don't get me wrong. When I write books, and I am one of those authors, I write about black mafias. I write about cartels from the urban fiction standpoint. But I'm known for my male book babes, and I'm known for my couples. So my couples in the book, although I do have a lot of street shit going on, sometimes there's a lot of focus on the relationships. That's the focal point. These urban fiction relationships. So like if you read books back in the day, and you were an avid reader and you were reading the Thug series from Wahida Clark, you were reading oh God, there's so many of them. You were reading Keisha Irvin, and you were reading books like by Vicky Stringer, and all of those people from back in the day, they wrote these books. Terry Woods, they write gangster shit. Back in the day, they basically wrote these books that it really centered on the gangster thing. We love the relationship element of those books, but it wasn't the focal point. So we got that real street lit. That's a big difference. That's a big difference, and a lot of people don't understand that. It's a big difference between just writing urban fiction and writing street lit, urban romance. Those are all different things, okay? But the way that we write now, we kind of like put them all into one. And it's amazing if you could write street lit, urban fiction, and urban romance. You're great. That's good. But I just see the difference in it. And so reading Little Ghetto Girl, I loved it because she was a strong, powerful female character from the very jump. A lot of times I get a lot of backlash from my own books because they feel like my female characters, they are weak and they come in, needing a knight in shining armor, and this guy who runs this big drug empire, he rescues them. But reading Little Ghetto Girl, it gave me that different sense. Women can be powerful, and that's just not with Little Ghetto Girl. Kisa Kane comes from the first page. You feel her power. You feel the respect that she gets in the streets, and it didn't come off of fucking with this nigga. The streets respected Kisa because Kisa was that bitch. She ran the street. She had her own thing going. So she had earned her street cred by herself. She really didn't need Sin's help. But being his bitch, it just elevated them even more. So, Kisa got her own crew, which is some of her friends, some of her family. Shay is her sister. Then there's Isani, that's Thais, and then there's Tata. These are all girls that work with her. They do work with her. They do work for her, But of course, In every crew, there's a jealous person, you know, and she had that problem with her sister Shay. Shay was extremely jealous of her. I'm not gonna go into what Shay did to her and sin, but because like I said, people haven't read this book before, and even though it's a classic, I've had people come to me and say, oh my god, Pete, I never read that book before, I'm going to go read it because I hear you talking about it. And I guarantee you it's a really dope book to read. It gives you, like I said, I love the whole New York flow of it, you know. It's something about just reading an old school urban fiction book, and you get that vibe. Like if you read, you'll understand what I'm saying. It's like it's so different. Their lingo, everything. Like I just absolutely love it. And so when we have Sins, his crew, and that's Butter, Sean, and Maddie, they all in the streets doing, getting money together, and Sin finds out a lot of things about himself, his history, him inheriting a faction and things like that from his grandfather. And so it's a really, really, even though it's called Little Ghetto Girl, it really, really focuses on Keisha and the better woman that she becomes, like after her and Sin get married, And so, in my opinion, what makes them a powerful couple in urban fiction is because Keisha Kane is a badass bitch. She's a badass bitch, and who she is as a woman helps who Sin is as a man. See, they balance off of each other. They're both power struck. They both want the money. They love the money, Sin doesn't know an end to what's going on, but Keisha has that feeling that this shit has to come to an end. We have to retire. We have to stop Sin because before this gets out of hand. Every man that runs a drug empire needs a woman who has her thinking cap on. You can't just be a yes bitch when you go. And Keisha Kane wasn't a yes girl. She support him with everything. But when it's time to stop, it's time to stop. And that's what Keisha wanted. She just wanted to be with him, have a great marriage, and raise their daughter. And of course, Sin is just like any other man. He can't when he doesn't know that it's time to put the side bitches on the shelf. And it took for him to actually lose her to understand that you can't just be around here fucking these bitches and think that I'm not gonna do anything about it. Keisha was sad about it, but she wasn't sitting home crying and all that about it. She was somewhere hopping on her ex dick because what? If you could do it, I could do it too. She just played it different, and that's one of the things I loved about that book. She didn't go crazy. She didn't start breaking shit. She wasn't mad. She wasn't walking around with a petty attitude. She wasn't walking around holding her feelings in. She knew the whole time he was cheating. She didn't address it. It was business as usual. It was business as usual. Yeah, they had their fallouts, and they had their fallouts, but they still managed to always come together even when they had their fallouts. But then Keisha just got to a point where, you know what? Sin don't want to do what he needs to do. Fuck this. I'm finna have me some fun. I'm finna go out. I'm finna drop this baby off. He want to hang out. I'm about to hang out too. Being the regular man that he is. Oh, now he had found out this sad bitch that he fucking, she crazy. Off her fucking, rocker. And so now he don't want to have nothing to do with her because her behavior is jeopardizing his marriage with his wife. And now she's crazy. But see, during all of this, now he want to come in at a decent hour. Now he wants to be a husband. Keisha, is she out and she's having fun. She's having fun right now. And it's not so much as fun, but she knows in her heart, he's doing wrong, so whatever, I could do wrong too. Not knowing that they both in the wrong, not knowing that what they doing is gonna hurt them. However, being a strong married couple that they are, they're able to bounce back from that. They're absolutely able to bounce back from everything that was like sent to destroy them. And that comes from family, friends, but everything that comes their way, they're knocking it down. And they're showing just how powerful they are as a couple. And that's what I love about Keisha and Sin. They're not your regular urban fiction couple. They really aren't. They have a different type, because men, they don't usually allow their women to run their empire. when sin had to go behind the wall, he had no problem with turning his empire over to his wife. Why? Because he knew that she was going to make sure everything went accordingly. Money was going to be picked off. The product was going to be where it needed to be. She was 8, 9 months pregnant, still running his drug empire when he was in jail. So like I say, I love Keisha Kane because she's powerful. Her name is powerful. Come on now, Keisha Kane? Really? That's a powerful name. And so I chose Little Ghetto Girl as one of my top, this is one of my top 10, because I love a lot of books. So I have a lot of more come, lot more urban fiction classes coming for y'all. But like this is one of my top favorite go-to books because it gives me that old school New York feel. It gives me that powerful couple feel. It gives me that powerful woman feel because I love powerful women. And a powerful woman to me is if you getting up every day and you doing whatever, whether it's selling drugs, being a scammer, whatever you got to do, and you run that shit and you do that shit like a boss, oh, I fucks with you. No matter what your career goal is, I fucks with you. So I like a powerful woman who can get up in any type of industry and run shit. And I'm very passionate about characters. I speak on them like they're real people. So understand, when I dive into these books and I read, I'm going to be discussing them like I know them personally because I take books very serious and I take the book characters very serious. I'm telling you, I love this book and I recommend everybody, authors, especially new school authors. I always recommend you guys, when you are stuck, go back and read these classics from these authors who really laid that foundation for us to be able to come in and write these books. Me, I love old school. I recently had the pleasure, when I was at the Detroit Hustle and Grind book fair, I had the pleasure of being able to sit in a room with some of the greats, Quan, Shannon Holmes, Terry Woods, Wahida Clark, and being able to sit in this room with them was amazing to me. It was amazing to me because, and Michelle Moore as well, being able to sit in a room with them and hear them speak on everything that they had to do just to be able to get their book out there, it's amazing. So I love to go back to the classic books because you feel that grit. You feel that street lit, and I love street lit. That's one of my favorites. Street lit is what I love. I love that gangster shit. Give me some shootouts. That's what I like. And I'm sorry, I just do. I get a lot of backlash from the way I write my books and the couples, and you have to get reported for using the word, nigga in it, but it's just that I like to give it that street lit, that urban fiction feel. So it's always amazing for me to go back and read those urban fiction classics because I get to see like this, that gritty shit, and it's a really, really amazing thing to be an author and have books from the past that help you on your journey now. Because like I said earlier, the way we write books now is completely different from how it was back in the day. Like we have social media. It's easy for us to sell books. We have social media. We have Amazon, we have Kindle Unlimited. So the ways to make money is absolutely amazing, and it's very easy for us. And I always have respect. I have an even deeper sense of respect for those authors from back in the day because they had to literally walk on feet. A lot of them said that they would all meet up in, I can't remember if they said Harlem or where they would all meet up at, and they would just watch each other back and they would sell their books. Like they had to get it out the mud. They had to sell books out of their trunk. Back then there was no Amazon. If you remember, we used to have Black Expressions, and I love Black Expressions, and that was one of the dopest things they ever could have came up with back then for that time. But we've evolved. Everything is so different now. Like now ebooks is ruling the world. Ebooks is everything. Yeah, we still love paperbacks, but everything is digital now, and everything is just easy. With one click of a button, oh, your book is uploaded. But I love that old school hustle. The hustle was different, The hustle was different. The heart of the hustle was in it, And so when I sat at this round table, and I was able to sit in this room and hear them talk about their ups and downs and the things they went through, just to be able to have a name. And they are literally literary greats today, But a lot of us, we don't know what they went through to get that. Like Terry was homeless and getting books out of selling books and things out of the trunk of her car. Like that's amazing. That's dope. These authors literally had to go through. So I love that. That's why I always go back and I love to read these urban fiction books because you feel it. You feel it, And Little Ghetto Girl will always be one of my top favorites. Shout out to Danielle Santiago. If you see this, I just want you to know that I absolutely love this book. It has helped me through some great times. I'm one of those people. I rely sometimes on books to be therapeutic for me, and your book has absolutely been therapeutic for me. So again, if you are a urban fiction reader or author, and I would highly recommend for you all to go and cop Little Ghetto Girl. Okay? This is a book that should be on your bookshelf. Okay? I'm gonna always give you guys books that should be on your bookshelf, okay? Because you may have a whole lot of books on your bookshelf, but it's certain books that should definitely be on your bookshelf. Little Ghetto Girl is one of them. Please, please take the time and get into Little Ghetto Girl. Find out who Kisa Kane is. Find out who Sincere Montega is and see why. They are one of Miss Lady P's absolute favorites. Welcome to the new era of books, okay? I want y'all to know, even though this is an old school book, we can always make old school books become new things for a new era. I should have said it that way. Just so you can get a better understanding. Although this book came out many, many years ago, now, it should be on your bookshelf. This should be something that you should be reading. So, like I said, make sure you guys go and get Little Ghetto Girl. It is available on Kindle Unlimited. On Kindle, not Kindle Unlimited. It is on Kindle, so you can absolutely go and purchase the paperback, or you can purchase the ebook. Yeah, so this is one of Miss Lady P's favorites. Make sure you guys check in and get ready for my next episode for next week. We're going to be talking about my very own book, Ghetto Symphony, and why that is a book that should be on your bookshelf, and the idea of me making it into a